Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett and I'm the founder and owner of TechFuse Nope, and today I am going to talk about how to run a VirtualBox, or known as virtual machine, within Windows 8. Now, as far as things goes, this video is going to take a little while, so bear with me on that. I can't really help with the time issue because this is a very sensitive deal. And I'm trying to be very thorough so I don't have to make multiple videos to help you guys out. But if you do have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. And as long as it's answering a question, I really don't have a problem making another video. So, as far as things goes, there's a couple things I want to get into before I show you how to do this. First off, I'm talking about the disclaimer. And pretty much the disclaimer is a legal disclaimer where I am not physically touching your computer, so therefore it's nothing's on my head. If something goes wrong, then it's on your head. If something goes right, again, it's on your head. So I highly advise you to watch everything thoroughly, do your research thoroughly, and continue on. It's just pretty simple. Basically, if you pretty much do exactly what I do, you should be alright. Keep in mind, I'm using, again, Windows 8 and doing the Oracle VirtualBox version 4.3.6. So just keep that in mind. Now, as far as what is a VirtualBox or virtual machine, a VirtualBox is a virtual machine. It's terminology that's thrown around between the two, but the basically what it is running a computer inside of a computer. So, for those who don't know, an operating system, or known as OS, the operating system is like Windows 8, Windows 7, it could be OS X, like Macintosh's stuff. Could be Ubuntu, Red Hat. There's plenty of them out there. But let's say, for example, I want to try out something. Say, for example, I want to try out a Ubuntu OS without going and committing to it. Or let's say I want to try out a Ubuntu, or let's say Macintosh. I want to try out Macintosh's operating system without buying a Macintosh, without spending the money and risking that I won't like it. So I would just download the proper stuff, which is a ISO file, which is ISO, and this is basically equivalent to a exe file for a Windows. And basically what this does is the ISO file holds the operating system, and if I have the proper ISO file, I can end up running the Macintosh stuff on top of Windows. So I don't have to buy a Macintosh, and I can save the money and just try out the OS X stuff. Or run a better OS X because I got better stuff than the cheapest Macintosh. So, I'm not trying to knock anything down, but a lot of people, a lot of people who actually know what they're doing. There's a lot of people who runs the Macintosh stuff operating system on either a VirtualBox or a regular computer, and that way they don't pay $999 for something that's a $50 computer, really a $50 laptop could equivalent to. It's a simple thing. Just look at the hardware. Now, again, try not to get off topic. The other reason why someone will want to do this is for work. Let's say that you're working at home, and your work being some company that's called Company A, they take screenshots of your screen to make sure that you're working. This is a common practice, especially within government. And basically what this allows is the assurance of that the employee, which is you, are doing their job when they're clocked on, and that way that you're not playing games or doing something stupid in the meantime. Now, for the most part, you'll be handed a computer and that thing will be thrown out. So you have to use 2 computers to accomplish what you want. But let's say that they don't hand you a computer and you're still able to access in for one reason or another, either by a browser or some other method, which is totally possible. And you want to do some stuff that's fireable, some like play games or something. What you'll do is run your stuff in a VirtualBox, and this is not a 100% guarantee method, so I advise you to stay away from this if you want to keep your job. But what you'll do is run your stuff in a VirtualBox. For example, Ubuntu 13.10. Let that run up for a second, and I gotta put in my password in a second or two when this loads up. Right here. And basically what I'll do is run it and run the browser, and the only thing the work can see is anything within the actual VirtualBox itself. Give it a second or two and the thing should fully load as seen right here. It's fully working, completely different operating system with its own browsers, own files, and everything. Files within here, if you have it set up right, it won't ever see your files on your core operating system, which is, for this, is Windows 8's core operating system, and Ubuntu is the secondary operating system. But I have it set up where a couple files is seen, so let's keep that in mind. But you can set it up normally where the Ubuntu would never see your stuff, your other things, so your work will never see you doing that stupid thing that can get you fired. So how do you set this up, and what do you need? What you need is permissions from your Windows 8. Unfortunately, I can't show you this, and I'll advise you setting this thing up all the way up to the point where you need the permissions, and I'll get into that in a second. But I cannot show you how to enable the virtualization on a Windows 8 computer because I don't have the hardware to do it. I don't have a camera to. Basically, I have to restart the computer and get into the BIOS in order to do that, and I don't have a camera to show you that. But how do you set it up, saying that you downloaded this version 4.3.6 or newer, and you have the ISO file? Go to New and start typing in a name. It doesn't matter. However, one thing I advise is keep the name similar to the operating system that you're dealing with and the version. So right here we're doing Ubuntu, and it will automatically say you might be looking for Ubuntu. Let's say Red Hat, and you see it switched over to Red Hat for versions, or OS X, and you see it switched over automatically. Now this is not a huge deal. Anything on this page, let's keep it like that. Anything on this page is changeable, but I highly advise you to open this up now, and if you're dealing with a 64-bit version of the operating system, select 64-bit. If not, keep it on whatever it is. This is not a huge thing, and I'll show you what I mean by just keeping it on there. So I'll show you what happens when you try to run a 64-bit operating system on a 32-bit computer. This is a 64-bit computer, but the virtual computer or virtual machine is going to be 32-bit until I set it up. Now, for the memory size, or known as RAM, you need to set this up towards whatever operating system you're getting. If you're doing an operating system of 32-bit, 5 gigs is plenty. However, I suggest going up to 8, 10, or even higher than that. 12 is pretty good. I highly suggest only sticking in the green. Do not go into yellow or red. This can cause problems with your core system, because basically this is using your RAM. Currently, I'm only using a small fraction of my RAM at any given time, As you see here, the RAM swap, it's very low. It's within like the 25-30% at any given time. It hardly goes up, which is a pretty good thing. So with this in mind, I can have it go up pretty good and not have a real worry. I can even have multiple operating systems run with no real worry. It's the CPU that I'll be worried about. So as far as things goes, pick the amount. And how do you know how many gigabytes you're dealing with? The 1000th place is the gigabyte, and this is pretty much universal. It's not 100%, but pretty much when you see like say 1000, that's 1 gigabyte. Again, it's not 100%, but it's so close it might as well be. So right here we're seeing 12 gigabytes. So in all sense it's 12.1. So 12.1 gigabytes. Easy enough. Just create a new thing. Let's cancel that so you can see. Create a new hard drive, virtual hard drive, and don't select on anything, just press next. Make sure it's VDI. If you know what you're doing with all this other stuff, fine, but I'll suggest to stay stick with dynamic. Here's the differences. It basically gives you a description of the two. You can pause it and read it if you want. And what you will see, again, I would start with dynamic, and what you'll see here is the title of the operating system, and you'll see the amount you want to give. So as far as this goes, I don't know how much I have on here. I have almost a trick, but I have a good amount of free space, so I don't have to worry about that. That's very important to note. How much free space do you really have? So I can give it quite a bit more and I'll be fine. But since this is a test, let's just keep it right there. Maybe a little bit more so it can do its thing. And that's that. Now, again, this is a 32-bit, and we're trying to upload a 64-bit. But before that, we need to go into the settings and simply highlight whatever, or right click and click settings, and go down to the system. Make sure that everything's right. Uncheck whatever, check whatever, and just keep that in mind. And move whatever in the boot order first. So I suggest doing hard drive if all possible. So having a hard drive first. Now, as far as the processor, we can go into 2, 3, whatnot, and I highly suggest just leaving the cap as normal. Now, once you got that done, go down to the display, and if you got multiple monitors, you can select 2 monitors or 8 or whatnot. I only have 2. Now, I'll suggest putting this video memory up to 70 or more, and you can mess with this if you want. I'm not doing video capture. The storage, this is where the storage is. Audio should be alright. Now the network is very important. Make sure the NAT is the first adapter. The second adapter needs to be a host. I mean, this in order does not matter, but host. The third needs to be bridged, and they need to be your Wi-Fi card. And since I got 2 Wi-Fi cards, I'm doing a bridge adapter, 1 bridge adapter per Wi-Fi card. So right now I only got 1 Wi-Fi card hooked up to a network. So as seen here, and let's move on. Go all the way down to share folders, and what you need to do here is go into your main file, just create a new folder, and and name it whatever and go on your way. And we can go here, this PC, try to find that new folder and put that auto mount. Now all that's done, and you might see something like a invalid thing. It's not a big deal. So if you got anything wrong as far as this, the Linux or any of the types of operating systems or the exact operating system, don't worry about that, because I'm about to show you what happens when you mess that up. So here we need to pick the operating system, the ISO file, and we're going for the 1310, and just find it wherever and just look for the ISO file. And as you see here, the ISO, DMG, whatnot, most likely it's an ISO. Start that. Let's give it a couple seconds. And as you see here, it shows a preview. And right here it says that you can't do anything because this is looking for a 60, I think it says 64, yeah. So let's close that down. Oops. Go to settings, change that to 64. And as you see here, it's cranking up and doing all that stuff. And it's going to take a little while to go through its nice time. But now, what happens if we have a completely wrong, since that's running, we can't do anything. Let's close that down. What happens if we got a completely wrong type? Let's try Mac. Let's try to do a 64-bit. See, it's still running. Most of these ISO files really only care about if it's a 64-bit or a 32-bit. However, you may run into some problems every now and then, but as you see here, it made no difference. It did not care. And for the most part, it just cares about the if it's a 64-bit or 32-bit. And as you see here, it's running perfectly fine. Now, as far as this goes, on your internet connections, keep in mind the 3 and 4. 3 being that whatever this connects to, possibly, and 4 also possibly. It's going to show it's wired connections, so whatever the 3 and 4 is connected to, or whatever it's connected to, being these Wi-Fi cards, then let's connect this just in case, and it'll show that it's connected to the internet in a second. But let's shut that down. So that's pretty much that. Now, one thing to keep in mind is any updates at all, what you need to do is when you restart your VirtualBox, you do not have to restart the entire computer. Let me give you an example of that. Let's log in real quick. And by the way, the moment where the computer was said that you had to change the setting is after you told it where to get the ISO file. Beyond that, it doesn't. I mean, you got everything good. So give it a second. So let's system setting. trying to figure out where the update is. I forgot. The actual window itself shouldn't close down, and it's already restarting. And it's loading back up. See here, it restarted. So if an update was required, which required the entire computer to restart, then I wouldn't have to worry about anything, because this this core OS, it doesn't affect it. It will just restart everything within inside the virtual machine itself. VirtualBox, virtual machine, whichever you want to utilize as far as the terms. Now, that password that you saw me put in, that's a Linux thing. Your computer may require you to do that. I'm seeing that more and more, but for the most part, that's more of a Ubuntu Linux thing. They're very secure on their stuff, and that's one of the ways that they stay secure. But anyways, this has been Craig Bennett, the founder and owner of TechReviews Now. If you got any questions or anything, and keep in mind that you can run multiple operating systems at any given time. Let's do that. Let's do this to show you I'm running Ubuntu twice. I mean, it shows you right there that you can run this stuff multiple operating systems, but just keep in mind your information. As you see here, everything's starting to spike up and everything, and this means that that's one thing that I keep in mind is your usage, your processing usage, your RAM and whatnot. Usually you'll get some alerts before it gets too bad, but keep that in mind. Anyways, it's been Craig Bennett, the founder and owner of TechReviews Now. If you've got any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section. And as you see here, my RAM spiked up a little bit, which is not normal. But and as you see here, now that I got rid of that second one, everything's starting to go back down into the okay area. So again, that's one thing you gotta keep in mind is if your processing is pretty bad, I would stay away from this. But again, if I know I'm repeating this, but if you got any questions or whatnot, leave them in the comment section, because it's very important where if you do run into a problem at all, then immediately ask. Just fire away, and that way I'll be able to answer them as quickly as possible, or someone will be able to answer it as quickly as possible. Because what can happen is if you try to fix something when you quote unquote broke it, then the simple fact is you can make it worse. So I'll try to help you out as much as possible. That, or I'll try to send you to an area that can help you out as best as possible, which is, there's quite a few of them out there. So anyways, again, you know who I am, from TechReviews Now, and hope you have a great day. If you find this video helpful at all, then, or if you liked it, then please like, please subscribe, and please share. Have a great day.